I was technically first.
Yeah. If you're not first, you're last, bro.
Guys,
First place.
Kangaroo God is in the chat tonight.
Hey,
Jesus
haven't
Fish
seen him
is
in a
here.
while.
I wonder if he's in
Jesus
Australia.
Fish.
He's
Josh
back.
Regan. I know that name. Easy Heat Cooling. Sounds like an advertisement. Joe. Jason Johnson. Gil Willspeed.
Yeah, Burrs.
Gil Willspeed?
Mm-hmm.
Herman was here.
Gil?
Josh
No,
Regan.
it's Will.
Jason
I
Johnson.
was gonna say he's got two first names.
No, I changed it up.
Yeah,
no,
I can't
he,
see the chat because I'm trying to be a responsible driver. So,
No,
two
you
hands on the
weren't.
wheel,
You
staring
were
straight
just
ahead.
reading us the Manitowoc manual like 5 minutes ago.
He definitely was.
Yeah, while you're driving.
While streaming and driving, reading a manual. Hey, real quick, did you guys ever see Spaceballs?
Yes.
You know, at the end of the movie where they're getting into their pods, you know,
Yes.
they're getting launched out of Spaceball 1.
Yeah, and the escape pods.
That little window behind you, it looks like you're in one of the pods for Spaceball 1.
Oh,
Mm,
right there.
nice. Here I come, guys, in my spaceship.
That is my plastic partition.
That doesn't seem very safe.
Nah. Plastic.
Where were you, bud? Where are you, Chris?
Working, man. It's been a long week. I just got done fixing a walk-in freezer. It was an interesting one because they had multiple problems as usual. It seems like I get those ones all the time. It was like one thing led to another, but the liquid line was literally cracked in half.
What?
When I got there. Yeah, I got up on the roof and I'm like,
Yeah.
there's oil everywhere. What's going on? The liquid line was it was barely hanging on by the copper. Just barely.
At a joint, an elbow, or
No, it was a pre-bent piece of copper. The reason why it broke is because the way the manufacturer put the unit together and the liquid line dryer wasn't really supported very well. So it eventually
it
broke
just
it.
swung around and
But then on top of that,
Exactly.
it's just a piece of junk condensing unit. So
Are you seeing on some of the equipment that you're dealing with that they put like shipping brackets on the compressors, like underneath, and there's like a little sticker or a tag? I've different pieces
Yeah.
of equipment. We had a Climate Master heat pump, which it was a bitch to get that bracket off. And then just the other day we did a
Near the top.
no, underneath. So you have to unbolt the whole compressor and kind of slide it out.
I've never seen this before. No.
And then on a Daikin Sky Air, like one of those double fan, real tall
Copeland, right?
mini splits, same thing.
Oh, it must be because they're not putting the on the rubber feet. If they put in those little
Screws.
no, not the screws. There's like a little bushing that goes in there, and that bushing makes the screw really hold the thing down. And if you don't put those in there, and it's just held by the rubber bushing, then the compressor will shake.
Because I was kind of wondering like if that could happen, right? Like if there's a bracket or something like that, and then it doesn't have any give, and it's just holding the copper really tight. And then it just vibrates the shit out of it. Maybe.
And all the compressors I get just come in those boxes where it's just got the foam built in around it.
Yeah. I
packed in
once
around
got
it.
a Manitowoc condensing unit shipped to my office. Legit, it was upside down in the pallet, but like there was no damage. Like it almost looked like someone purposely put it upside down and crated it in.
But the pallet was like this side up. Like
The pallet was right where it was supposed to be,
Yeah.
right? Because the shipping guy brought it in, and we always opened them up and took the boxes off them and took it apart so you can inspect it. I'm like, I'll put that one right back on the truck. He's like, what do you mean? I go, the fucking thing's upside down. Like completely. And we're talking a 400-pound condensing unit, like completely upside down.
Wow.
Jason Johnson makes a good point. Water source heat pumps always have cracks in discharge line, but no manufacturers ever put the vibration elimination on them, and they don't. You're right.
Yeah.
Especially the small ones, got thick all cheap.
I don't know that I've ever worked on a water source heat pump.
Every water source heat pump that I've ever worked on it seems like the installers like had nails in their head because they put them in places where you absolutely could not access anything up in a drop ceiling. And it's like, how, like, just replace the whole thing. Like,
I know.
just,
always in tight spots, closets.
and then they're like, yeah, the water condenser's fouled. Like, well, yeah, I don't know what to tell you. Like, I can't get to it, you know?
I did something really stupid today on a Geo unit.
What'd you do?
But it didn't bite me in the ass. I got super lucky, I got to tell you. I was on the phone it happens to you every freaking time when you're on the phone. You're not really paying attention. So I was changing a pump right on the flow center. I isolated. So if you're familiar with flow centers, the flush ports are on the front, and to isolate the load side of the loop, you need to have the valves basically so it's open
So
to the flow
for
center.
for those of us that don't do geothermals, what is this flush center? Where would this be at?
So it's like basically a box with pumps.
Yeah.
right?
Okay.
From
like,
outside.
does
It's your-
one pump go to the condenser, one pump like to the what I would consider the evaporator side of things.
Well, like you don't necessarily have to have two pumps. It depends on the size of the system. But like basically, if you have two pumps, one pump's pumping in to
And
the
one's
heat pump,
pumping
and
out.
one's pumping down and out. Right. So the valve, it's like it's shaped like a T, and there's a picture of it on the side, and one side says off, and you face off wherever you don't want the water to be, right? So I had off on the load side, and because I was replacing the pump and I drained it down, I'm changing the pump, and then I was opening the source in to allow water to flush back through, and I was gonna get my my gooser and hook up, or not a gooser, the I don't know what they're called.
I just had that pipe screensaver in my brain of trying to figure out exactly how this piping is
Right.
going.
So I open one side,
Yeah.
the water is going to flow through and back around, and then you're going to purge it out the flush valve. Well,
Okay.
when I'm isolating the load side, the
And what's the purpose of doing that again?
because I was draining down so I could change the pump so water doesn't shoot and methanol doesn't shoot me in the eye.
Yeah.
They're
That
still
makes
using methanol?
Yeah,
Wow.
that's like what?
It's against code here. Can't use
Yeah,
that.
I knew that
You
too.
guys have sissies in Canada.
Yeah, you Canadians and all your
Yeah.
fancy rules.
Your
We gotta have
care
work
about the
boots.
environment.
It's like it's
Ju-
alcohol. So like back in my day, you know, on lunch break, you take a
distill
couple
it?
of the methanol.
Okay, go
Yeah.
on. Sorry, I don't want to break you off the story. Go ahead.
So anyway, so when you have the load side off, you're actually open to the flush port, but you have a cap and a plug in the flush port so nothing comes out of it, right? Well, I started to unscrew the cap. I was on the phone on the other side before turning off the flush port and hooking my valve and everything onto it. And I almost got a freaking face full of meth. And I like stopped myself right in the middle of it. And I'm like, oh my God.
See, you just went into autopilot mode.
I did.
I do that sometimes too, and get into all sorts of wacky situations.
Let me ask you this, because we were kind of talking about this before, but I
Drain a
kind of like
fryer
to
out
see
on
what
the
the
floor.
chat has to say with this. But do you guys like, you know, something that drives me nuts is when my employees, they'll call me and they'll be like, oh yeah, it's taking me forever to get there. And I'm like, what freeway did you take? And it's like, well, the GPS told me to take. Stop listening to a GPS. I never use a GPS. I know what the traffic's going to be like. I know what freeways to
man,
avoid.
I always, every day I use a GPS. Every day when I get out, I work in pretty much the same area, and I use it to get home every day.
Oh
Same.
no,
Not because I know
no.
where I'm
Yes.
going, but because
I have a
listening to
memory. I
podcasts,
know
reading
if I take
manuals.
if I take a map to get somewhere once, maybe twice, that's it. I'm done. I know how to
no.
get there from now on. So
Not me. No way. Like if I focused, I could probably do it. But I need somebody to say, turn here. I'm like, oh yeah, that's right. I do have to turn there. I should stop reading this manual
Yeah, right.
while I'm driving.
And
Doing 50
eating
things at once.
and eating the sandwich. And
Yeah, and live
Streaming.
streaming with Chris.
Somebody in chat asked.
I think Chris just rolled his van.
Chris, are you all right? Did you roll your van, dude? Are you in a ditch?
He gone.
That's funny.
Yeah.
Anyways, the guy in the chat was asking which is a
hopefully
better
he's okay.
spot to put a humidifier supply or return duct to put it inside the return or supply duct.
So it depends on the humidifier, right? Like, are you doing a steam humidifier? Are you doing a powered humidifier with a fan? Are you doing a bypass humidifier?
Sure.
Bypass humidifier doesn't matter whatsoever because you have a bypass and that's your heat source right there. I believe, if my memory serves me right, you could put a powered humidifier on the return or the supply, but they recommend piping it into a hot water source. And the hot water,
Yeah, if you think about it,
that's what
you're running it in the winter time. And you know, warmer air can hold more water, so it's always better. I preferably like it on the supply, especially steam. You have to put on the supply, but I go supply. That's my vote.
Yeah, that is going to work the best.
I would think if you put it on the return, right, you're running the risk of like getting a. I only bought it. I only stepped into half of that conversation, but aren't you running the risk of getting moisture all over the heat exchanger and the inner components of the unit?
Mhm.
I mean, you're not really. It's evaporating, so
It
it's
should,
a
yeah.
flow through humidifier. It's not like
Right.
they used to make these. I think they still make them. People still install them. Every time I've ever seen them installed, it like trashes the furnace, trashes the ductwork, but it's like a
Yeah.
mister, a vaporizer.
Yeah.
It's like basically taking.
But they're banking on it evaporating before it actually gets
No,
to the surface of the heat exchanger.
It's like spraying a Windex bottle over and over inside your ductwork. You know.
Until one day where is it just a nozzle or what's controlling the mist of it?
Yeah, they're like orifices.
Yeah.
So would there be a way for it to fail and just flood the inside of that, or is it pretty much not?
Probably.
Just gonna plug
Yeah,
up,
like I've seen, like especially now in big
the
commercial
nozzle breaks off
setups
or something.
they're putting these huge steam humidifiers, and because these filters they want to put in all these restricted filters because of what's going on, well, it's not enough airflow, and what's happening is you are getting droplets, and sometimes these
because it can't evaporate before it gets to the
right, and these horsepower, these
gotcha.
huge horsepower motors are getting wet, or you're getting wet in the ductwork, and you're getting more issues.
I think one big thing is humidifiers really don't need, especially like April airs and Honeywells and that, they don't need a ton of water, right? Like you just need to keep the pad wet. You don't need to freaking keep the pad drip like set. Like it's not like you need to pour a glass of water on every 3 seconds.
Just set a glass of water inside your furnace.
Right.
Well, while Chris has gone away with his little intermission there, you know what? I don't know if you guys know this, but we have a website now. You know what the website's called, Joe?
Oh,
yes.
Double tap.
HVACOvertime.com.
HVACOvertime.com. Go there, buy some of our shit, look at whatever you want on there. We got some bios, some fun stuff.
Will Speed
to our podcast.
Will Speed posted that he just got a hat. Looks good. I like the hat.
Yeah, he actually said the quality was pretty good. So
is it? Yeah, we want to ask him actually.
That particular hat I haven't got. I got a couple of the other hats, the beanies for winter. The I think they're called the tunic or something. Some Canadian word.
Toque. A fucking toque.
Toque. Yeah, what is
the
it?
Fuck? I don't know why he's calling beanies. It's a fucking toque.
What's a toque? Is that like the Canadian version of TikTok?
A hat with the flip.
Like toque tick? Did you get on the old toque tick there? Hey?
You get on the old TikTok there?
The TikTok. You see red green on there, eh? Made a funny joke about Timmy's.
That's funny.
So I could show you this. You want to see this picture? Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
Real quick. Yeah. So make sure you guys go check out our website. Go to the Facebook group. Join up to the Facebook group. Throw some pictures in there. Throw some stories in there. We do actually read them. And we get a kick out of most of what you guys write in there.
And our Facebook group, I would have to say, is probably one of the best Facebook groups.
Bam! He said it, folks. He said it on Overtime.
It's pretty good. It's right down the center. There's not a lot of hate speech, not a lot of conspiracies and stuff. I mean, Joe he's just a straight up Nazi with that stuff.
I try to be fair, but you want to go to a place where you could
runs a tight
chill
ship.
out, post shit.
I actually had somebody call me the other day about our Facebook page. Really? And I didn't know it. I thought he was just calling the BS. And I started talking about like carrier units and this and that. I'm like, yeah, I'm over here doing this and that. And he's like, okay. The reason why I'm calling you actually is because I posted my YouTube video on your Facebook group and nobody could comment on it. What's up with that crap? I was like, fucking Joe.
Yeah. Joe will turn the comments off on anything he doesn't like.
No, it's not that. Just other groups. You can't. A lot of people take advantage and you just think they just post whatever and they don't contribute to the group. And a lot of other groups make that rule. Don't post shit just for benefiting yourself. Benefit the group. Help the group out.
By the way,
so we still let it. We still let it happen, but we kind of restrict it. And that's
there ain't nothing that I post that benefits anybody else.
It does, big time.
Luke is getting mad because he didn't hear his shout out from Bill.
Yeah, why do that?
Yeah. What we did drop the ball. Hey, Randy and Luke. That probably just drives Luke nuts. He probably just he's just attacking Randy right now, just chewing his face right off.
They think you sound like a mouse. Oh, sorry, a cat.
Is that how the moose sound in Canada?
No, thank God they don't.
Right, here's a question, Joe.
Yeah.
Damn.
TXV.
Yeah,
Hey,
TXV. Here's the thing. I got to tell you. He
TXV,
says, "What's the serious
Oh,
question? Which is better,
TXV.
TXV or piston?" Honestly, after that whole oil edited thing and all these problems with the TXVs, I got a little chip on my shoulder.
What oil additive thing? What do you mean?
The Copeland added a
air.
rust inhibitor
Yeah.
into their compressors, and it clogged up TX like by the freaking bazillion.
But this was a while back.
Did
Yeah, it was
they?
years ago? But
Oh, okay.
Did
I'm
they
back on
actually
the TXV
say like
train.
what caused that? What actually caused that breakdown in the rust inhibitor? Was it the oil? I think the oil somehow activated or did something to the rust inhibitor and turned it into some sort of waxy solution.
I'm not sure. I think so. I think someone. I was just gonna respond to him. I agree, Ted Kid. Or speaking Tamil. How can you post a YouTube friggin' video and you're speaking a different language? Like, fuck, do I care?
Yeah, we don't allow squiggly line posts in our group. That's the rule.
Although there is this dude, I can't remember his name. He's in I don't know what country he's in. He's in some sort of, I don't know if he's China or what, but he has a YouTube channel and he posts about working on like VRF units all the time. It's kind of interesting.
Oh, he's on the more of a design side.
Talking about
No, service.
Service?
Totally got off subject.
Sorry.
I don't remember what the subject was.
We let a lot of guys in our community post as long as, like I said, as long as they're speaking English and it's relevant and
As long as they're speaking English.
they're not just posting because
That's
of
worse than
whatever.
what I said, Joe. At least I just said no squiggly lines. And you're like, you're not speaking American. Get the F out. You look different than me. You get the F out of here.
Oh my God.
How are you not from the South, Joe?
You get out of here. You're so bad.
You fit right in down there. You ever been to NASCAR?
I actually like watching NASCAR.
Yeah, I don't doubt that.
Where are you gonna go before I change the subject? Because I'm gonna bring something else up.
I was gonna tell you. I was gonna show you that picture. Remember I talked about last week that heat strip that I rigged up that
yeah, go ahead.
element on it.
Absolutely.
This is
Is
bad.
that the one where you like just stretched it all out and
Yeah.
yeah.
So this obviously, when when you string something up as it's heated, it will actually stretch, right? So it changes its share screen
Length.
This is kind of scary. The heat worked, but this is not how I started. It is rigged, but it didn't start off this way. So look how close this is to the metal in that.
Yeah, I feel like it's gonna sag right on the end there.
Like it wasn't that loose, but it was loose because that's not the right element to be using for this, right? But I had no other choice.
What'd you use to update people?
This was on a geothermal heat pump. Their pump. This is actually that same unit I was talking about.
Oh, that's right. You eliminated one strip,
right.
right, or something.
They had their pump was down. Right.
This is their emergency heat. It was also
this
down.
was their emergency heat, and that was also down. And this has a special size element that is from water furnace. I didn't have that. I just had the regular run of the mill thing that you use on a regular air handler. And it's like, I made a phone call. We're not going to have it for several days. What are you going to do? But this is kind of scary how this turned out. You know what I mean? After it was heated and cooled, and
really.
But yeah.
But you are going to go back with the OEM.
It's already done. I took that picture after it was in use for several days.
Yeah. It does look like a toaster wire.
You know what? Honestly, with these times that's going on, it's gonna bring out the good HVAC guys and make you that guy because everything's on month's waits. Who knows how much wait time? So you got to rig things up. You got to think outside the box.
I told him after I finished it, I said, listen, I'll be completely honest with you. I'd say I give this about a 50-50 shot that this is going to work longer than like a couple hours. I don't know,
Yeah.
And it worked. So there you go.
That's awesome. That was a good fix, bud.
We did 3 RTU changeouts last week, and they had like 5 other units that they also are going to change out, just not right now. And I think one of them, he's like, yeah, this one's not working, and the other one wasn't working. So they had 2 that weren't working, and our crane broke down. It lost a hydraulic solenoid, so the crane was just sitting there dead in the water. And it was kind of neat because we were just harvesting parts off the other used ones that we were replacing to fix the you know, the other used ones that are going to be replaced.
Yeah.
And,
Just
we were
to
able
get
to
them
get
going
them
temporarily.
Yeah, and we were able to get, you know, once we were done, all the heat was working at the time. Is
you know, when I saw that picture that you shared about the crane, when I heard that the crane broke down, I was like, I have a crane operator that I use in my area. That's like, I always wonder if his crane's going to fall over in the middle of a lift because it's a piece of junk, you know. But when I saw yours, I'm like, no, that's a nice crane. Like,
I know, right?
It had a failure.
Well, that was a nice crane, but it got stuck, so we couldn't use it. So they brought in a second crane, and the furthest unit, because he couldn't park where the other one was, which would have been much closer because that one was stuck there. And so he had to park on the other side of the building, and he had to stretch the boom. He was like, I think he said 20 foot over what he safely was allowed to do.
Yeah.
And he's like, he could feel the back of the crane kind of getting lighter as he stretched all the way out there.
I've watched one do that where the guy, the owner came down of the crane because they were trying to do a lift. And this is frustrating because oftentimes when we do lifts, we'll tell them we want a 50 ton or we want a 30 ton. Like we'll tell them because we know what sizes cranes are, you know, and sometimes they'll be like, oh yeah, that one's not available, so we sent this one. And I'm like, dude, you know, like, I don't know, man. And I've seen him do some lifts, and I'm like,
we had a sketchy situation. I think it was like a 7.5 ton or something. It was several years back, and it was a far reach. And the guy's like, yeah, we got this, no problem. And he's picking it up, and the crane starts beeping. And I'm like,
yeah,
why is it beeping? He's like, I'm pushing it to its max right now. I'm like, well, I'm gonna get the hell back. Like, what
yeah. I've done that, and I've watched them. Like, you know, it's going beep 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 beep, and then the owner comes over and he like does something, and then it stops beeping, and I'm like, what did you do?
Type in his cheat code.
But have you guys been on a crane lift where the operator gets off with a wireless controller and walks to the side of the job? Dude, that trips me out when he has a wireless controller and he's like just like walking around controlling it, and I'm like, dude, you had to spend a crap ton of money for that. I turn on my phone rings and the freaking crane starts lifting the wrong direction.
Like, I can see that good. Like if you're up on the roof, that would be pretty handy, I would think, right?
I don't know if he can legally get on the roof, but I guess it would work. I mean, if he had someone downstairs,
like a spotter downstairs too, making sure nobody's.
Some of them too. I've seen him too, where he has a camera on the end of the boom too.
I've always wondered if there's
camera on the end of the
cameras,
boom, and then he has a little thing in there.
You know, we did a lift once, and I don't remember what kind of crane it was or anything like that. But the guy, once we picked the other unit, pulled it off the roof, strapped into the new one, and he's like, I don't need any directions, because somehow his crane was able to remember all those movements, and he basically like hit autopilot or something, and it went right to that spot and dropped it exactly where he picked the other one up from. Or, you know, crazy. Within a few feet, but it was pretty neat.
I gave a crane operator a $150 tip once.
Yeah,
why? They get paid like millions of dollars.
I called them beforehand and I said, this is the address. It's in the back of the building. Can you guys do this? Yeah, no problem. And that's the owner of the company I talked to. Well, this is the crane operator, one of his employees that comes out, and he looks at it, he's like, dude, that's way too far of a reach for this. And he's like, is there an alley or anything? Yeah, there's an alley. Okay, we can get it, no problem. So he goes in the back of the alley. There is a power line pole. And he raises his boom. He's in between a power line pole on one side, so freaking close to it. He's like, I got this. And it looked like he was playing, like, I don't know.
Tetris
it was just
or whatever, like just
terrifying. And he's dropping it in between two other lines.
Jeez.
Like booming down and all that. I'm like,
there's no wind or nothing. Crap.
No, it was terrifying.
Jay's 1234 was talking about using a crane or a helicopter instead of a crane.
Yeah, I've never done a helicopter lift. I quoted one time, and I didn't get the job. I think I've told this. I didn't get the job, and they had another company come in and do a helicopter lift, and they didn't pull a permit. So I quoted it with permits, and then they didn't pull a permit, and then they were literally in Los Angeles International Airport airspace, and they didn't pull a permit. Like, what are these people? Like, literally, they had to get air traffic control permission to do this crane. And they didn't pull a permit, and they had thousands and thousands of dollars in fines. And I heard years later from the facilities director that I lost the bid for like $2,500 is what it was. And they had thousands upon thousands of dollars in fines to the restaurant and to the business. So the contractor.
Yeah, as they should.
Isn't it funny when you get undercut by somebody else and then they screw up the job?
Sweet
You
revenge.
know what though? I would have lost my ass on the job anyways, but I would have done it with permits. So it's all good, man. You know what? They can have it.
I want to see. I want to be involved in a helicopter lift at some point in time in my life.
Yeah.
You know, it's just so expensive, and although we're doing a big box store next year, because they're taking over a big box store, and there's 28 units to change out, and I would almost have to guarantee some of those units are going to be right in the center of this building. And I don't think it's gonna. I mean, it's a big building. I don't think a crane's going to stretch out that far.
How
Yeah.
big are the units? That you don't know.
I think just looking at the ones they have now, they're probably, they're a little like 5-6 tons, maybe 7.5s in certain parts of the
what
store.
we've used a couple times. The crane operator we use, they have this dolly type deal that he charges an extra like $400.
Yeah, they're
Can you,
awesome.
like, put it on the roof and
lifts
roll
that
it.
On the unit.
And that and it actually has a motor on it, and he like drives it like a remote control
Yeah,
over.
how do
And
you
it
get
raises it up. It raises it up. It has like a lift on it, and then he drops it down right on the curb.
Yeah, I've seen those, but I don't know how do you navigate the gas lines?
I guess if it's a tight space.
Are you talking about with the remote control carts?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I think if the ones that I've seen, each wheel will pivot independently, so you can
really?
side attack a thing. At least the ones I've seen, where you can literally lift up
I mean,
one
I would
wheel,
imagine if
push
somebody
it over, and then
bought
turn it.
it out to this, they had to have some sort of solution to solve the gas line issues.
I was gonna say just
Right.
roll them over.
Except for the mall gas lines that are like 8 inches off the ground.
Yeah,
This guy-
got to be above the snow level.
I was thinking about the manual dollies. The ones I for me, it's like rare because I don't do it much on top of roofs. But the dollies they put underneath the units to like move them around. You guys ever use those? Crane ever bring those?
Mm-mm.
I've
like
never used
manual
one.
ones.
No,
Okay.
I'm always sketchy about even thinking about that on some of these roofs I go to, where I'm stepping on the roof and it's like sinking down. I'm like, I don't want to put a unit on wheels and push
Right,
it across
right.
here.
It is trippy.
Like I'm somebody
somebody-
swan dive off the side.
Somebody in chat, he's probably from the south.
Yeah,
because
drone lifts, exactly, Cyborg.
He's saying 90 in attic, 78 wet bulb. Duct is sweating. Yeah, your wet bulb's high. Probably. And in the ductwork,
should
what do you think is in the ductwork? What
Post that
temperature?
question up so we can all see it.
Like 50 something, right?
It sounds
So
like something that
you're below dew point, dude. You're gonna sweat all kinds.
yeah, Joe's our psychometric guy.
I try to be. The dew point's way too high. You gotta bring
Well,
that down.
And is the duct insulated? Like, what's the
Yeah, I
story
think
with
it
that,
probably
right?
isn't.
Is
Did he
duct
say?
leakage?
Probably is, but even with insulation, like yeah, you're right. With little leakage or anything, the dew point's probably like, I don't know. You go below dew point on that, it's probably like 60 or something, 65. I don't know. And your ductwork is what inside the ductwork, your supply. That's you know what I
Supply
mean?
60,
I guess
70 degrees.
There you go.
No,
But,
less than that. If
less
you're
than- probably in the
room
50s,
temperature,
right?
it's like in the 50s.
Oh, 50, but I'm I guess if the unit's right there up in the attic, I was thinking downstairs in the basement, then going all the way, so I gave a little bit of a temp drop. But yeah, 50 degrees. Go through
That's
there.
right. Temperature not or conduct.
Yeah.
station. Absolutely.
Jesus is saying the crane in the back of my thing right now.
So
So
use that one, special price.
That boom right there is actually flexing the whole
Yeah, I noticed that. You need to
in the
get some
back. 'Cause I
counterweights
got
on
it
that thing.
overloaded with that zoom lock fitting.
See, you're gonna break that thing, man.
Yeah. The
You know what?
outriggers are out.
I wanted to bring this up right before the show. Adam kind of brought up something that I thought would be an interesting thing to chat about. Something about your second brain idea that you were talking about.
Oh, it's not my idea. Like I heard of this, and there's a couple other guys. We actually were chatting about this last night. Michael Hausch is the one who brought this up to my attention,
I
and
haven't seen him in the chat today, so he might not be
I
here.
think he's with his girlfriend. That's what he tends to do these days.
All these
Well,
girlfriends.
did you see that
Michael.
shirtless pic he posted a while back? I'm surprised he's got just one.
What was your comment there on his post?
It's like, geez, Hausch, save some chicks for the rest of us. But he didn't. It sounds like he took all the chicks for himself. Anyway, go on.
But anyways, so like the idea of I don't really know. I think there's like a book or something on it, but like a second brain, the idea is a way to stay organized and keep a bunch of information and basically like stuff that you can't keep in your head, keep it in another place.
So when you were telling me this earlier before the chat, as if you're speaking to just me by myself,
Right.
it was it reminded me of like people like Jim Bergman, Brian Orr, people like that can just seemingly rattle off like specific information as it, if they're reading it almost, just out of their brain, just numbers and scientific facts and whatever. That's exactly what I thought of.
Yeah. So I have something like not as organized. These guys were talking about using an app called Notion. And you could create like templates and this and that. It's on your calendar, to-do list, like things to check off, try to stay on task. I use Google Drive for a lot of things, just to keep a lot of important files, technical data, this and that. And that's what I use. But I was looking at Notion. It seems a little intimidating to use, but I think I'm going to start. I guess my question is, how do you guys stay on task, and how do you not get distracted on a day-to-day basis, and how do you stay organized with all the data you need to?
Well, before I forget everything that I wanted to talk about on that subject, the way I do it is in my gallery of my pictures, I have a file that's set up for just work pictures, and I'll take pictures of like schematics that I don't get to see very often, little excerpts from books or screenshots from things I read on the internet, useful little tidbits of information. And then I have a PDF reader, Exodio, and I'll just save all my actually PDF documents in that. And then Google Drive, I use that to write on ideas and notes and whatnot.
Good idea.
I don't
HVAC
do
2.0 says Tiago Forte. What does that mean? Is that a reference for something?
I don't know.
That's the guy who.
Italian.
Yeah,
Tiago is Spanish. Forte is both.
I'm pretty sure he's talking about a car.
I don't do good with having multiple things going on. I tend to forget a lot of things.
And you, Chris, have so much going on. I'm surprised that you don't have to have something like this just to function.
I'm gonna have an aneurysm pop in my head one of these days.
Yeah.
Looks like it's an author. Tiago Forte is an author.
I figured. Okay, got it.
He's probably the guy that came up with the concept.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. I have all kinds of ideas randomly. I mean, I use the Samsung Notes thing in my phone, and there's millions and millions of notes here in my phone.
I know, right?
That I never go back and look at.
That was one of the biggest things. So like over the years, I've taken, you guys, I'm sure everyone has taken a bazillion different HVAC classes.
Yeah.
Duct design, this and that. And like they give you great pieces of information to take with you. But then it's like, where is it? Like a year later, it's like, where did I put this piece of paper? Right.
And about once a week, I think, man, I really need to get smart and like organize my Google Drive and actually set my pictures to automatically upload and do all this cool stuff. And then something else urgent happens, and then I forget about it, put it on the back burner, and then I need to get better. I need an assistant.
Instead of just taking notes out of books, what I'll do is like if it's something that I don't know, feel like I'm not going to remember, but I will need to remember this specific piece of information one day, I'll just take a picture of it and put it in my work picture gallery. Of just one thing, and I don't know, it works pretty good for me. It's all about, you don't need to memorize all the information. You just have to be able to find it, know where to find it.
Right. I agree. I agree.
You know, the weirdest stuff, like, when I try to remember things, I don't do good at it, but my brain works really weird. I can just randomly be in a class and hear things, and then I'll think of it later on. I'll be like, oh yeah, I remember hearing that in the class. But then if I try to remember something, I have a hard time doing it.
So last night we were sitting at the eating dinner at the table, and I'm next to my son, and my phone was on the table, like in front of me, and I get a text message. There's a whole conversation on there, and I didn't save the contact's name. It was just the phone number. And he's like, how do you know who you're talking to? And I said, listen, when I grew up, we didn't have contacts to save. I said, I remember all my family's number, all my friends' numbers growing up. I could rattle off phone numbers to you all day long right now. And he's like, prove it. So I start, here's this number. And he just starts smiling. He's like, how do you do that? He's like, that's how we did it back in the day.
I don't memorize numbers anymore.
One phone number.
Just name.
I'm
too much in the head.
Two.
I'm getting worse at phone numbers, but it was for the longest time. It was remembering everybody's phone numbers, and then
directions, birthdays.
But I can recognize them. So if a number comes up on my caller ID, I can go, oh, that's so and so. But I don't, like, if you ask me what it is, I won't remember. But part numbers, oh man, I can tell you part numbers that we use all the time. Delfield constant cut in mechanical temperature controller is 219-4536S.
Stuff like that.
Hvac pan chiller motor from Granger's is a 4WT47. Like nice. It's in my head, man.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, I think
1862
Chris is on the
condenser fan motor.
spectrum.
Oh, I'm
That's-
definitely on the spectrum.
Mhm.
I believe I'm right there. I believe I'm undiagnosed ADD.
I want to be right there with you.
Well,
Well, I think I am because I can't go home without having a GPS to tell me exactly how to get there. 'Cause I get
you got
distracted.
problems, bro. And I'm so short tempered too. Like I have no patience for people that can't navigate without using a GPS. Like I'm like, just get on the
Oh,
freeway.
I hate
Like,
when I
and
talk to
even-
somebody like you, and then
Even
I'm like,
when
"How do you
I
get
do
there?"
need a GPS, what I do is I pull it up and I ask for directions and I scan over it and then I close it and then I drive, you know?
That
And then
is
as I
so
get
wild to
closer,
me.
I might turn it on and say, okay, give me turn
You
by
might as well
turn
be
when I get off
driving
the freeway.
blind. Are you crazy?
No, I can't. I hate the
I
fucking thing
think you
talking
mentioned
to
in
me.
the past, Chris, about your videos. I think that's probably one of the reasons why your videos are so popular is because you said your normal workflow is you're basically going through your normal workflow in
Yeah,
your video.
talking
And
out loud.
you talk to yourself a lot
Yes.
of times when you're diagnosing things.
Yep.
So it's not like you're doing something abnormal. You're just filming yourself doing it.
Yep.
It's a
I'm
good
just
idea.
vocalizing it. And
Mhm.
I literally rationalize when I'm troubleshooting. I will talk to myself and I'm like, okay, let's check it like that. Just like I'm talking to a video. It's literally identical. So
Do you call him Jimmy or Timmy or?
no,
Okay.
I call
You-
myself a dumbass all the time though.
If you answer
idiot.
yourself
Yeah.
back,
Yeah. Yeah.
Mhm. I'm gonna start doing this.
I really do.
What was I saying? Somebody's. Oh, he got the gentleman said it is insulated. So maybe Adam, you know this more I do, or guys in the chat. Insulation lose R value once it gets wet and killed so many times.
yeah, I wondered the quality of the insulation. Is the duct leaking? Right, you could
Surface. It could be
you
surface.
could do a duct blaster test, or you could do a blower door test and test it to outdoors, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And if you can't do those means, you could start getting that dew point lower
Put your
and
vape pen in
put a
there.
dehumidifier in there or something.
If that's the attic, that could be tricky.
It could.
Yeah, and you know, random things too. I'm reading through the chat right now. People are saying they remember part numbers over birthdays, like similar, you know. But even like my anniversary, I have a hard time remembering my actual wedding anniversary, but I can remember the date that my wife started dating when we were in high school. So September
guys are
20th is
so
the
gay.
date that we started dating, but our wedding anniversary is like September 3rd or 4th. So I don't know about that one, you know? So I score
send you
brownie
guys a
points whenever I
card
get in
this
trouble because I can't remember my anniversary. I'd be like, when did we start dating? She's like, I don't know. It was like September
I
20th.
put it on my Google Calendar, so I
Yeah.
Yeah.
She thinks you're so sincere and you're just.
If I
looking
didn't
at
have
the
a
damn
mom and a
computer.
grandma, I would never remember anybody's birthday.
That's what
That-
Google Calendar's for now.
They
yeah.
are my Google Calendar. They're like, oh, so and so's birthday's coming up. I'm like, oh shit, I forgot again.
I have a friend of mine that wrote down on his Google Calendar my birthday incorrectly, and every year, like a day late, he says happy birthday. I'm like, oh, thanks. It was yesterday. And then he argues with me. He's like, no, it's not. It's on my calendar. It's today. It's like, dude, we do
No,
this
it's
every year.
not. But yeah, I was there. I remember it.
That's funny.
There was a post I wasn't wanting to talk to you guys about. I seen some guy posted. I don't know if you guys seen it.
No, because probably deleted it.
No, it wasn't in our group.
Oh.
I don't post outside of our group really.
Yeah,
Well,
what's
you
wrong with
should.
Maybe a
Joe?
like.
Joe doesn't exist.
We're not allowed
No,
to. So
And
you
let's
shouldn't be allowed
let's talk
to.
about Joe for a minute. Joe doesn't exist outside the overtime group, and
Nope.
Joe gets mad at us if any of us
Yep.
exist outside the
Okay,
overtime group.
you're full of
Joe,
Yeah.
you know that Joe before
He basically
we
broke
even
up with us
started
before.
overtime. Before we started overtime, I actually made an HVACRVideos Facebook group. It's just not public, and
he's been scared.
not.
He talks to me about it weekly, and he's like, I just want to click live. He's like, but Joe's gonna be so upset with me.
oh man, if I made that and then just find a couple mods and then
He
just let
actually
it go.
says, you're an asshole.
Oh man.
I'm gonna switch subject before I stab myself in the eye. Is it legal to deduct employees' pay from a callback?
No, absolutely.
saw
You do
that.
not ever
I
touch your
actually-
employees.
Somebody
time
made a
cards.
post about this today.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I seen that
And I
earlier.
think one of the comments, which I think you actually can do this, but I think it has to be an understand agreement upon
Before.
employment.
No.
Yeah.
Even if you
Very
can,
beginning.
even if it's legal, I don't care what state you live in.
Yeah.
Even if it's like technically allowed, your best bet is to pay them and fire them. Just pay them for their time and fucking same thing. If you let's just say you have a guy that quit and he quit on bad terms, your best bet is to pay him for the rest of the week and then just fucking let him go on his way. Like, just be done with
what
it.
if he's a decent employee? Like, the thing is, I don't think you could start doing that, like, and just get pissed off one day and be like, you screwed this call up, I'm not paying you to go back.
No, you don't, and that's for the business. That's for the business. And then you correct the problems and or you terminate the employee, but you pay him for his time.
And that's kind of the thing too. If you're screwing up, it could be your boss's problem that you're not being trained properly.
Yep.
Exactly. Yeah. I think if you hire an employee for X amount of dollars, I hire them knowing that at some point in time you're going to make a mistake, and we own that as a business, and we will pay you to correct that mistake because we know you're human, I guess.
Right.
Pub chat real quick, just so that you know, I'm pretty sure Brian Orr has more than 8 kids. But
yeah, he's got 11.
Yeah. So
Wow.
But
Well,
no,
actually,
I mean, I'm not
was
saying
as
that
of
I'm going to do
last
that
week,
to every employee either. It's just, you don't ever mess with the people's time cards. When they put it on a time card, they get paid. Now, if they're fraudulently doing stuff, that's for lawyers to figure out. That's not for the office staff to take it into their own hands. And
here's my question to you, looking over, because I review time cards every week, right? So if you have a couple guys that work the same, like say they work together.
I see where this is going. Awesome.
Yeah. And what if the time cards don't match? What do you do in that situation?
That doesn't, then you have a talk with them. I mean, that doesn't make sense. Let me ask you this.
Conversation at that point.
We constantly have our guys screw themselves on their time cards, and we have to email them and be like, guys, seriously, you guys are hurting your own selves here. You worked longer than this. Your invoice build out time is different. Oh, I just, didn't remember.
I have 2 apps that track my work time.
Yeah.
One thing that I started using, I use the GPS on the trucks, which is super helpful. And I did it for the fact that with House Call Pro, I thought it was a super cool feature that when you click on your way, it sends a text message and an email to the customer with a link so they could watch your truck and see how far you are away from their house. Because everyone's always like, how long till you get here? Well, just click the link and you know how long until you know.
Weaver makes a good comment. I don't know if you want to highlight that. That's pretty cool.
In Local 38 bylaws, if you make a mistake, let me see if I can. There you go. If you make a mistake, you're supposed to fix it on your own time. In 37 years, I've only seen this rule invoked once. Yeah, it's just a thing. You don't
expecting perfection. Like everybody has their off days. Man.
Everybody makes mistakes, and like people have said in the chat, you make it a teachable moment. You pay the guys, and then different. You don't send them. Now, I'm not always like, let's say that I have a guy that has a lot of mistakes on a call, and then I have to go out. Sometimes I'm going to take him with me. Sometimes I'm not, and then. Because sometimes I'm like, dude, you're already in way too deep on this, and you clearly don't get it. So I'm going to go ahead and take you off this one. I'm going to figure it out. We'll discuss it after, and then we'll work on it, and we'll grow from it. But I'm not going to dock his pay. We don't play that. Even if you can legally, we're not going to do that. We're just going to.
I think if you're making the same silly mistake over and over again, that's obviously a different conversation.
Yes.
But if it's sort of like a one-off thing, that way it's like, man, I don't know, man. My head wasn't in the game. I didn't know whatever was the problem.
I think a lot, like I've come to, let's use the term, come to Jesus, I guess, with a lot of my mindset and thought processes that I had before. I would used to go through the days, be like, this guy's an idiot. I told him this so many times, and he's not remembered it, this and that. And I would always blame somebody else for something. And this brings me to another thing I was talking about last night was there's a book which I want to read, and I believe it's called Extreme Ownership. I should look it up. I don't remember exactly what it's called, but it's basically like teaching you how to lead and things that happen underneath you are probably your fault and not the guy's fault, right?
I always like a good book on leadership. I think the last book I read on leadership a while ago, what was it? Leaders Eat Last, I think.
If you need a book, I already told you guys in our private conversation before the show, y'all need to go read Ready Player 2. That's the book you need to read.
Ready Player 2?
Audio book. Yeah, it's part 2 of Ready Player 1.
I know what that is.
That is what the book is called.
Ready Player 2.
I think I listened to that on Audible, Bill.
Yeah, I not all the way done yet, so don't spoil it.
Yeah, I don't know. I think you got to be a little low as well to do that to your own employee. Plus, you know what? A lot of times, customers, especially now, they're just happy that an employee or yourself is, showing up at their house. You know what I mean?
This book turns out it's pretty good.
they're already happy. So
Boom, right there.
I don't know.
Oh, dang it. It was too late. Yeah.
That's a good book
There's
so
some
far.
great- I was like,
It's COVID breath.
Nah, that is you.
And now, our HVAC
Hey,
correspondent,
Is that Vaseline in your hair?
Monterrey, Mexico, starring in the highly anticipated segment Questions for Yamo.
I still remember that show with Zach.
hey, how's your COVID doing over there? COVID breath.
I'm thinking I'm not the only one that has COVID in
Right.
the group.
Nope.
Nope.
You sure, Chris?
Nope.
Can
I'm
you
good,
smell-
man.
You still smell things.
I'm
and
COVID
taste-
negative, my friend. COVID negative over here.
Yeah, sure.
Yep.
What
Wait,
was up with that? Sorry, change subject. What was up with that unit there, Adam? That gasket, that heat exchanger. Did you end up fixing it, right?
The carrier I was talking about last week.
What was it,
Yeah.
rooftop, right? Or package unit?
Oh, are you talking about the package unit? Okay, that was earlier this week.
Yeah.
So I quoted, this is a while back now. I found 2 bad heat exchangers on train package units at a church. And we quoted to replace the heat exchangers. And we actually quoted to replace the units, but the units were way back ordered, right? So we couldn't get them. So I said, okay, you either do nothing or you get heat exchangers. What do you want? All right, I think heat exchangers. So we give them the price, and then usually they call back right away. Well, we didn't hear from them. And then a couple weeks went by, and they called and were like, one of our members in our church has a guy that used to do HVAC, and he's a maintenance guy, and he's going to do it for us, and he's going to save us like $1,200, and he's going to do it for cost.
I cannot believe I just heard that.
And that guy's gonna be there August 1st when it's freaking 100 degrees outside and it breaks down, right? Like,
Well, this was the thing. Here's the
You
thing.
will.
He did the job. A couple days go by, and they realized one of the units is not producing heat. It's blowing cold air.
Yeah.
Why is it blowing cold air? And he starts calling us, and it's super cold outside. We're busy. He's like, we really need you to come out here and fix it. I'm like, where's the used to do HVAC guy that did? Can he fix it?
What'd they say about that?
Right.
He's like, well, he's busy working.
yeah.
Oh, it is his real job that doesn't include HVAC, right? Okay. So we ended up scheduling them out for like a week. I go out there, and I actually had a video. I should play it, but I didn't notice it right away, and it would fire, but then it would go off on limit. It was blasting. They didn't use gaskets on the heat exchanger, and the airflow from the unit just blasting tons of hot air into where the burner box and everything is.
Oh, so he didn't replace it, he repaired it.
No, he replaced it, but he didn't use gaskets. It was just
Oh, okay. So he replaced the heat exchanger. He
And
didn't
now
replace
you
the
get
entire
this.
unit. Okay, that's what I
better
was
story.
saying. Okay, gotcha.
So yeah, so it was just the amount of air coming out of this thing was unreal. I used a little fog generator, and you could just see it was like, and Bill's like, no, that's just the wind blowing it out. It's like, dude, my eyebrows are partying over here. It's blowing so much air. And I did a combustion test on it, and all the numbers were out of whack. We had high oxygen, we had high carbon monoxide, and yeah, it was kind of a pain because I had to take everything apart, and I got it sealed up and dialed the combustion, and oh yeah, I loaded the firecock.
The what? Oh,
Just soak that son of a
is
bitch.
such an inside joke.
that is a big inside joke.
Oh my gosh.
But wait a sec. How are you liking that? I don't know if you answered me.
That
How do you
vape
like
pen?
that analyzer, anyways?
Which one? Oh, the
No, sorry, I'm
blue
talking about your vape pen.
Yeah. Not the,
the
vape pen.
blue
That was a good
flame
one.
is nice.
I've heard
do
some
like it.
really bad things about it lately. I've read some really bad things from some
So-
very prominent people on the
Yeah,
internet.
so this you're not letting me finish. So it's
Okay.
nice. I don't like. There's a couple
Good
things I don't
times.
like about it. There's no buttons on it, and you don't see all the readings on the front screen, so you have to kind of toggle through the screen.
Yeah.
And then I have a HVACR Insight Plus, and
That thing's badass, I'm sure.
it's like it doesn't hold a freaking candle to the HVACR. The thing, and Joe's like, well, why aren't you using the HVACR? And it's like, because I need a new sensor on there, and I don't want to spend $200 when I have another analyzer sitting there that works perfectly fine.
Now, at one point, wasn't TrueTech actually doing the sensor replacements? I don't know for BACREC, but I thought they were doing them sensor replacements for some of the combustion analyzers on site.
I don't know. I mean, the back rack, I've always changed myself. The back rack,
you do it
actually,
yourself,
it
okay.
won't even start. You can't start the back rack if your sensor's past the expiration
got
date.
you.
Like it will just show up on the screen. You have a bad O2 sensor or whatever. So when you replace the sensor, there's a code on the sensor, and you have to type it in to the analyzer, and then it starts working again.
Oh, so it's a timed base code. It's not necessarily. I don't know if I really like that.
I know.
I guess, you know, you would think that nowadays with machines, they'd be smart enough to know when they need to be replaced. But I guess, you know, most things are, you know, to be cost effective. They don't have, you know, built-in safeties to tell you when sensors are bad and stuff, and they just do a timed kind of a thing.
But I think both of them are okay. I definitely think the back rack is much better than the blue flame, in my opinion. One thing I don't like about it is it would be nice if it worked like directly with Measure Quick. It does not. So, but whatever. I mean, I'm not using the combustion analyzer with Measure Quick every day, so it doesn't really matter.
Just curiosity. Weaver said, "I hope your bill was more than $1,200." You don't have to say, but
I mean, yeah, I think they're probably regretting the.
Well, they should. I'm sorry, they should.
They
Pub
should.
Chat wants
you're
to
right,
know
Joe. They should.
how many. Here, I'm going to put this comment up here. Pub Chat wants to know how many guys I have fired, and he says I can do per year if that's easier. I have fired one person in my career. Literally, like our company has probably only fired one person in the last two. We have fired two people in the last 15 years. So we don't fire people. We coach them, we work with them, and then they tend to
just
move on.
Work them until they quit on their own.
No, because
are you drinking, Joe?
Now, how many people have quit because they don't like the way that I do things? A lot. I mean, not a lot. I haven't had that many employees, but I mean, people tend to leave, but they leave on good terms, you know.
How many people have you murdered?
Up front. What's that?
Lasco's asking, how many people have you murdered?
We don't talk about that.
Hey, I don't know if you guys see it in the chat there, but good news. So a lot of you guys might have noticed that Monday Chris hasn't been around for his live streams.
Yeah.
That's mostly because he's out of Coke. But the Coke Express is on his way to California right now. If you guys pay attention to the Facebook group, it's on its way to California. So look forward to Chris on Monday. He's going to be all coked up.
And ready. Coke nose. Yeah, my mustache is getting kind of long again, so Coke nose is going to come back for sure.
Is in full effect.
Coke nose happens because my nose hairs get too long, and then they tangle with my mustache hairs, and then they just freaking go crazy. No, but to address the live stream thing, I have actually been starting to skip more videos and skip more live streams just for my own mental health. That's been happening a lot. Like I'm just like, you know what? I've got too much crap going on. I'm not going to stress.
You know, mental health is an important thing. And I don't know in your school districts, but I just found out this year that our school districts, they give the kids a certain amount of mental health days per year to just, if they say they don't want to go to school. Yeah. They don't want to go to school. They have, you know, don't feel.
I wish I had those. Hey, Ma, Pa, I don't want to go to school today. Yeah, you are. Get the fuck out of here.
Yeah, that's where Joe gets his attitude from, huh?
Yeah, that's exactly.
Get the fuck out of here. Yeah, I wish I had some mental health days back in school too. I wouldn't have to fake sick so many times.
Yeah,
or like go to school, like rub my eyeball till it was pink. I'm like, I think I got pink eye. Can I go home? Wouldn't have to fake any of that stuff,
dude. I'm not kidding with you. In my school district for my children, if a kid goes to school with lice, the school does not make that child go home, nor do they address it because they don't want to hurt their feelings. And they don't want to single out the kids. So kids come to school with lice. Like we have friends that are teachers, and she's like, she can tell me like which kids, and she can literally see things moving on their head. That's how bad it is. But they don't make them leave because they don't want to make them feel bad.
A funny thing, I was talking to a teacher I know, and she said her kid had COVID. And after a certain amount of days, you could send the kid back to school, right? But they still, I think it's a little earlier than the school is comfortable with. So at lunch, the kid has to sit at the COVID table.
Good gosh.
The COVID table.
It's so depressing.
It's like in a bubble or something.
I know, right?
Surrounded by box filters and box fans and stuff.
Al Anonymous, I really like that one. When whoever was talking about pink eye said, "How do you get shit in your eye?"
No, you just rub your eye till it's pink. You just keep rubbing it.
That truly is what pink eye is, though. That's the hilarious thing. Pink eye is fecal matter in your fucking eyeball.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah.
Oh man, the whole idea that pink eye is around is kind
That's
of
because you don't wash your hands after you wipe. You get a little bit of poo on your hand,
Yeah.
or you're pooping in a bush or something, or in a bucket.
I'm telling you, it's rough. Actually, Will Speedy just reminded me, Kovate, when you made that comment, he was being a good citizen, working on his laptop, doing some automation. I can't remember where. And some Karen comes up to him and says he was trying to pick up some college girls that are like sitting around.
Oh, I saw that. She's like, is it the one where you said, are you filming?
Yeah.
I haven't seen that one.
So,
crazy.
Bill, you had a discussion with that I missed because I was trying to you ignored my calls, so I couldn't get on the discussion with you, you know. But
I mean,
you got to do
like handle so many phone
only a
calls
certain amount of calls
day.
per. I limit.
Like Bill says, hey, guess what? The live stream, or what was it, a stream or whatever you were doing with him? You're like, it's happening soon, and then I text him. I'm like, what time is it happening? And then he never responds till it was over. But it was with Interplay Learning, right? With Interplay,
yeah, Interplay Learning with Jared. I'm going to make up a last name, Bruckenheimer, because I don't know his name.
Jerry Bruckenheimer.
It's Jared Bruckenheimer. So the dude from Interplay Learning, he's I think one of the graphics designers, or he does something with the company involving graphics and designing and the whole concept behind it. But
so he's the one that makes it seem like you're in a potato.
Yes. In Roblox, like you're Roblox. Like the graphics though, like the graphics I saw, because he took me through a few of them, and he's going to give me login credentials so I can play with it and I can show you guys, and we can all have some fun with it. But the graphics are a little bit better than what I remember them being. Maybe it wasn't even the same company, but they're not terrible. But the concept is that you have like an interactive scenario, like an air conditioning system, and you have to troubleshoot it. So you can interact with the simulation. It'll have, there'll be wiring diagrams that will move, show you the flow of electricity, sequence of operations that are available, like the whole 9 yards, almost everything that you'd have available in the field. And you can interact with it, put your meter leads here, put the amp clamp here, you gather your information, you make a diagnosis. It's pretty cool.
I like the concept of it. I really do. I think for me, I can't do VR. So I know there's options to not do VR. You can just do it on a normal computer screen. Personally, I get motion sickness, so I can't do the VR stuff. But I like the concept. And I also think that in the future, it's only going to get better. Like, the graphics are going to get better. They're going to get more immersive. And then I think it'd be neat when it gets to the point that they can literally have someone make a service video and then, film different options, so then the person that's on the other end learning can say, go to the condensing unit first. So then, it goes like so. But I like the concept, and I think it's a great way to help because, some people do good watching videos. Some people do good with computer simulations. Some people do really good just reading books, and some people need hands-on, so everybody's a little different.
I think the end game here is with Jared Bruckenheimer. We're going to get him on the show one day.
Cool.
In maybe 20 minutes or so, and kind of show you guys as well as the audience a little bit of their program. And the one thing that I did like, they can like a manufacturer will go to them and say, hey, we want a simulation based scenario on how to fix our product, our fryer, our shake machine, our cooler, our whatever it is. And they give them all the specs on it, and they just make a simulation and go through all the troubleshooting, and like that seems pretty cool. I'd rather watch something interactive like that to learn sequences of operation and
maybe I like that idea for sure.
Basics of it, but
a lot of people are doing that. I think Brian's been doing that, and there's a couple other YouTubers that have paid animators, and graphic designers to come up with like graphic flows, and I think that is good and useful. If I was smart, I'd do something like that. But I don't have time.
So much more engaging.
But I think even with the interplay thing, like I think it's cool to have options, for people to kind of, brush up on skills or learn sequence of operation for certain particular pieces of equipment. I like that idea. It's cool.
Yeah.
I would like it, an interactive wiring diagram or schematic or something like that, where it shows the flow of things, and you can go in and like click on the little switch and watch the flow change or do whatever it is going to do. Like that. I don't know if I've seen one on the Engineering Mindset YouTube channel, but there was early on that really helped me learn how to read the wiring diagrams.
I've always been curious to try Interplay Learning. I think the first time I ever saw it was Mr. Steve Lav. He was promoting them for a while, right? Interplay Learning.
That one. Laska. I was trying to do Laska's thing. If they can make a farming simulator, they can make a TXV replacement simulator.
Oh, don't
Right?
be so sure.
Farmville.
I wonder if you could do it. You got to ask them. Can you do a hot swap on a TXV?
Oh,
Yeah.
on the thing, yeah.
No, that's
Do
not
it.
an option.
Guide him through it. You
I
gotta
did a
be
hot
quick
swap
on
the
it.
other
You
day
gotta
on a
be
strainer
quick.
for a TXV.
Yeah.
So,
No, it went out of control. What do? You go, you put your thumb over it, or you just run.
I don't
Yeah.
think it's that part of the simulation.
you're
It's
putting your gauges on there and it's spraying out. My hand's burning. It's like, dude, just let it fucking go, man.
like, see,
Get your
I
hand
don't
up.
know yet, but like again, Mr. Bruckenheimer is supposed to be getting me login credentials, so I should have that eventually, and I can kind of get in there a little bit more because we just kind of skimmed the surface of it, looked at a lot of basic stuff. So that was just like almost for greenhorns, somebody fresh out of HVAC school, maybe. But it didn't seem like it doesn't seem like you can go into the simulation and the next thing you know, you're going to be onto the Advanced Refrigeration podcast talking rack systems after you go through it. You know, it's not going to bring you that high up.
I think it would be cool to simulate, like Chris said, simulate a service call, like residential service call. You pull into somebody's driveway. Where should you park? You pull into the driveway, and the lady comes out of the house. Your truck's leaking oil on my driveway.
You may listen, bitch. Are you cold or hot or whatever? You want your shit fixed?
Come on. I was watching recently one of those clips, and I mean, if we really have to teach some of this stuff, I really genuinely think these people shouldn't be in the trade. But I was watching, I think someone shared one of the Dum Dums super service sales training classes or whatever, and it was like showing their process of role playing in an office. And I mean, come on, I don't know. I find that silly, but do people really need to know not to park on someone's driveway? Like, is that not common sense?
No. Brett says they are adding commercial refrigeration, and Jared Bruckenheimer did talk a little bit about that. That's the next avenue is to expand the refrigeration training of it.
Oil, sweating horsepower.
I can't wait to actually get in there and because they do have some commercial stuff in there already, like chiller basics or whatever it is. And the only hang up I kind of saw is that, for example, like a chiller, we'll say, like they're all doing obviously pretty much the same thing, but they all obviously do it in a different way. So how do you really get into in-depth simulations when you have so many different manufacturers, different ways of doing things, different components possibly, so you can almost only cover the basics unless you're doing a video specifically for a manufacturer.
Yeah. No, but I do like the concept and the idea of the interactive stuff, and I would like to do something interactive eventually too. I think that all that stuff is there. It's just because, can you imagine like how in depth you can go with one of these things that just rolls into one thing leads to another call, and you're on interplay and you're like, okay, so you did this, but I don't know. I don't know if they could do that on there. I think that it's just not quite there yet. But if they had some sort of a video element, maybe, You
remember back in the day, which is like a Wednesday, where we had the Hardy Boys books. Remember those?
Oh yeah.
I feel like some of them, they were like the choose your own adventure.
Yeah.
Sort of book.
I remember that.
I think we should write a series of HVAC books, like a little bit of, Shades of Gray with a little bit of, Hardy Boys, and
there you go.
choose your own
add that to
adventure.
the list of things that I think.
I kind of think that's what the overtime show is all about.
50 Shades of Gray.
We're a little bit, we're on topic a little bit. We're a little bit edgy, a little off topic.
That's a good point. Yeah.
Yep.
So basically, we just take the transcripts from each episode and kind of fudge them together into a.
I think we should, at the symposium, interview Brian Orr and ask him what he likes the best about our show.
I can absolutely guarantee you that will not happen because
Brian
will not even have a single second. He's going to be so busy.
He's running the joint.
He's going to have handlers, and he's like, "You do not look Brian Orr in the eye."
Nope.
Thank you.
We'll walk up to him, and like these big bouncers will step in front of us. Like, where are you going? Like, oh, we can't talk to Brian.
Hey, call him right now.
Raise your hand if you're going to the symposium.
Maybe.
Stop with this BS, Chris.
Hey,
nice camera, Joe.
Yeah.
Sideways for us.
Before we have to leave, I just want to mention that good post that guy did. Can you believe that post? I think you posted that about that guy who did that good deed for that lady who was a cancer patient or something. She was like 90 something.
yeah.
I feel like that story is about 11 years old.
Is that?
It's a good one.
I think
Good
so. I mean, it's a good story though, but yeah, I feel like I read that
seen it
same
before?
exact thing somewhere.
So
Yeah.
it
Why are you saying he's
was
a plumber?
the guy was a plumber, and it looks like he's from Europe somewhere, right?
That's the HVAC guy, right?
Well, he's in the thing. It said plumber.
Did it?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay.
But if
But,
he was in Europe, sometimes they handle multiple trades, like electricians do air conditioning too.
But he ran a service call for a lady, and her boiler was down, and she had a couple leaks. And on the invoice, he wrote up multiple leaks, boiler was down, and it said in the notes, it said the lady is 95 years old and has terminal cancer or whatever, and is in hospice. We will be available 24 hours a day, no matter what, and there will be no charge from this point forward. We want to make sure this lady is comfortable the rest of her life, or whatever he said.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Mhm.
There was another gentleman that posted a comment in that same post, and I think he was showing what I think he did or something for a kid or something. I can't remember.
There's a few of them.
Yeah, there's a few different ones. I've seen
A
those.
kid with a furnace.
Kid with the first.
No, but yeah, it's pretty cool. Pretty cool.
Yep. All right. Well, I
Nice.
think it's time we wrap this up.
Yeah, man. Good show.
Don't forget, guys, go check out the website. Check out the Facebook group.
Sorry, Rudy got cut off.
Well, that was fine. That's what you do when the music plays and you're ending a show. This is what happens in like all news stories. They talk over the music.
Hey, that's a pretty cool sticker of mine. One of these days, I'm
mean-
actually going to make that sticker.
Where is it?
Yeah,
So,
we'll
Joe,
have-
do I have
we're
permission to click the button?
Not the volume. Can you put it a little bit lower, please?
Yeah, I was gonna say it is all out. I mean, we have neighbors.
All right.
All right. We have neighbors. Yeah, don't forget, Facebook group, website.
Yeah.
Find us on TikTok. See us at the symposium. We're going to be doing a live podcast there at some point in time. Us and Cardboard Joe.
If Cardboard Joe ever sends us
If you
the
ever get
Cardboard
that
Joe
damn picture,
picture,
because if not, I'll just make my own picture with his face, which is readily available on my phone.
just
right
have your
now.
daughter draw a picture with crayons, and then we'll just put it next to us.
Oh, no, I'm gonna get like some just fat,
do a green
guilty
light
dude
brand.
body.
You should take Stone Cold Steve Austin body and put
No, I'm going fat, gumpy. Yeah, you don't want to give me a good picture? I'll make a picture.
I'll hook you.
Zipper undone.
Yeah.
Oh,
that's
my
not
God.
bad.
I guess that's it, guys.
I guess that's it.
I guess that's it.
Until the next one.
See you, gents.
See you on the next one.